Assalamu alaikum. This is part 3 of a lecture I titled The Covenant of Abraham. And I'd like to begin with the 12th chapter of the Bible, wherein Abraham is addressed by God, and Abraham's God tells him to leave his father's house and from among his kindred and go into a land which his God would show him. So Abraham journeys out of his father's house into the land of ancient Canaan. And while there in Canaan, his God reveals himself to him again and says that he would give Abraham the land of ancient Canaan. But a famine arose in ancient Canaan, and Abraham left Canaan and he ventures over into Egypt land. And as he approaches Egypt, he instructs his wife to say that she's his sister, because he feared that the Egyptians would kill him and take his wife, because the Bible describes her as being fair, or as we say in modern terms, a nice-looking female. So the princess of Egypt land informs the Pharaoh of Abraham's wife, and the Pharaoh desires to take Sarah, Abraham's wife, to himself for concubine. Now, what happens is that when the Pharaoh of Egypt took Sarah for a wife, he blessed Abraham with, the Bible records, men servants and maid servants and oxen and gifts, what have you. So after that, Abraham, God, he plagues Pharaoh and his land for having taken Abraham's wife. So the king calls Abraham back to himself and asks him, why has he done this to him? And said that his wife was his sister. And after they haven't straightened that out, the Pharaoh instructs his men to escort Abraham out of Egypt land. So Abraham, he then goes back into the land of ancient Canaan. Now after this, we're moving a little further into the book. Abraham falls into a dream around Genesis, the 15th chapter. And while in this dream, Abraham is told by his God that his descendants will fall into slavery amongst a strange people and in a strange land. And while they're serving those people, they would be there for a period of 400 years. And after they've done the 400 years of slavery, Abraham, God said that he would come and bring them out. Now keep that thought in mind, because what's going on here is still affecting the world today. And I'd like to show you some things concerning Abraham's family line, because there's falsehood being taught about who's who when it comes to Abraham's family. And if you can understand this, you can see the lie that exists in the Christian church and as well as amongst the Arabs and Muslims. I'd like for you to pay close attention to these illustrations. Abraham is the father of many nations according to the Bible. And it's stated according to the Bible that his first wife, Sarah, could not bear any children, or so they thought. His first wife, Sarah, gives one of her maidservants, or gives her maidservant, is stated by the Bible, and perhaps this maidservant by the name of Hagar that she's an Egyptian. Perhaps she were one of the maid servants that were given to Abraham when he was there in Egypt. But she's recorded as being an Egyptian. And she becomes Abraham's second wife. So he has Sarah and he has Hagar for wives. Now, after having taken Hagar for a wife, because Sarah thought she couldn't bear children, Hagar gives birth to a son by the name of Ishmael. And what happens after that, Abraham, God decides, well, he's going to open the womb of Sarah and pronounces Sarah to have children because Abraham was concerned whether he would have children to inherit the land of Canaan, because Sarah and Hagar at that time is in the land of ancient Canaan. And she tells Abraham to cast Hagar out of the land of ancient Canaan, and Abraham takes Hagar and her son over into what today they call Mecca. Now, keep in mind that Ishmael is a black child. The Egyptians at that time were black people, black and brown people. Ishmael is a black child. Now, what happens over here in Sarah's line is that she gives birth to Abraham's second son, and the second son is named Isaac. Now, Isaac and Ishmael are brothers. Isaac, the Bible follows more closely the line of Isaac, and it doesn't give you too much detail on the line of Ishmael. Eventually it cuts off any stories about Ishmael. But let's follow Isaac because this is important. Isaac has twin sons. And these twin sons are named Jacob and the other twin is named Esau. Now, Jacob and Esau. Jacob and Esau are twins. Now, what they do in the Christian church, they will tell you that two manner of people were in their mother's womb. And mother, by the way, her name is Rebecca. I hope I'm spelling this right for you. Her name is Rebecca. And she has these twins. It's recorded in the Bible that Jacob wrestled with the angel of God, and Jacob's name gets changed. He gets a name change. His name is changed to Israel. So, Jacob and Israel is the same person. Now, Jacob or Israel, Jacob has 12 tell you that one of those sons was sold in. Allow me to pick up where I left off at, please. Joseph, one of the 12 sons, is, according to the Bible, sold into slavery by his brethren. And later on, they will tell you in that story that Joseph tricks his brother and tricks his brothers, and causes his brothers to bring their father into Egypt land. And it's stated that after Joseph became prime minister of Egypt land, that's when these Israelites, descendants of Jacob, done slavery in Egypt land, which is basically untrue. Now, why is this important? Because in the Christian church, they will teach you that Jacob, whose name got changed into Israel, that this Jacob, or Israel, is a Jew. And that Esau is Arab. Now, if you look at it, how is that possible? If they're born twins, how could one be Arab, speaking Arabic, and the other be Jew, speaking Hebrew? Pay attention to that note. Here's something I'd like you to also pay attention to. When Jacob, he marries, according to the Bible, to his family line of his mother, and he lost the land of ancient Canaan because his father blessed Jacob with the land. Esau goes over into his uncle Ishmael's house. He left Canaan and he marries one of the daughters of Ishmael. So you have a line of Arabs saying that they descended from Ishmael. But are they the direct descendants? No, sir. What happens here is this, and I wouldn't want to talk to you about this. They say, according to the Bible, that Abraham, or the Christian will say, that Abraham sacrificed Isaac. Say he sacrificed Isaac. The Arabs will tell you that Abraham sacrificed Ishmael. Why? Because the Bible reads that Abraham was to sacrifice his only son. And since Ishmael were born before Isaac, and then around the time Isaac was born, Ishmael is approximately 13 years old. When Isaac is born, the Arabs will say, if the Bible reads that Abraham sacrificed his only son that he had, then that son would have been Ishmael and not Isaac. Keep that thought in mind. Now, what I also want to say to you here is that the reason the Christians want to make Jacob a Jew is because one of the 12 sons of Jacob you must pardon me. I got to keep this camera rolling because this is for the sake of every black man, woman, and child here in the wilderness of North America. Because This information concerns you and how you have been tricked into having nothing. They say that Jacob or Israel is a Jew. And one of his 12 sons is named Judah. And that Jesus of 2,000 years ago, that most of our people have been made to worship because he was a prophet, that this Jesus is Jewish, that he's the king of the Jews. Now, what I want you to realize is that, look at these two twins. Are they Arabs or are they Jews? This is what I want you to know. Jacob and Esau are not Jews. Jacob and Esau is the birth of the Arab nations. So it's not 12 Jewish tribes or 12 Jewish sons. It's 12 Arab tribes that's born. 12 Arab tribes. It's 12 Arab brothers, not 12 Jewish brothers. And because the falsehood have been taught about this information, you have the fighting going on over there in Palestine between the Palestinians and those that say they are Jews. Now, it appears, if you look at it, that the president of this government has placed himself in the position of God, because now he has granted these Jews the capital of ancient Canaan, Jerusalem. He has granted them Jerusalem for a capital. But that's not what I want you to focus on. What I want you to focus on is this sacrifice. Who really it were that endured the slavery? If you look in the Bible, you will find conversation between Jesus and the Jews, and they say to Jesus of 2,000 years ago that they, the Jews, were never in bondage. So even the Bible tells you that the Jews were never in bondage for a period of 400 years, if you pay attention to that note. The people that were sacrificed in slavery are actually Ishmael descendants. Ishmael descendants is sacrificed down into slavery in America. And they fell down in slavery in 1555. And from the period of 1555 to 1955, we do a little math here, you get 400 years. This is your 400 years of slavery. And in fact, you're still stuck here in America. Because you as a people, or we as a people, have had something taken from us. We have had our original homeland, Mecca, taken from us, and is being occupied by Arabs. This is what you need to know. This is how you have been displaced. And why did all this occur? Simply because